Paul, you've been saying all night that the big story is the turnout that really came out because of the gun initiative and the opponents who came to the polls. That affected everything. Why?
No doubt, Kathy, because that campaign was so effectively organized.
This campaign headquarters is quiet now. All too quiet for what was the command center in the first battle in a whole new war on our Second Amendment rights. It was a pivotal battle that we won overwhelmingly, and a victory few thought possible. But the attacks could soon resume, perhaps in your own backyard. So the message I bring to you is an important one. In recent years, gun ban advocates have been stymied in their efforts to curb our Second Amendment rights at the national level. Despite the ally they have in Bill Clinton, the new Congress and even the Supreme Court have remained unsympathetic to their cause.
We don't want to take a step backwards.
So the anti-gun coalition devised a new strategy to take the fight to the state level, directly to voters, through initiatives and referendums.
It started as anger exploded over gun control. Here's NBC's Roger O'Neill.
The people who launched this local grassroots effort to change the gun law say they did so out of frustration. It's their view the National Rifle Association wields too much power and has been able to kill any meaningful change in the gun laws, both in Congress and their own state legislature here in Washington. They say the only avenue left for them was to take this fight to the streets.
It's a strategy designed to drain our resources by forcing us to fight a battle on too many fronts. Not only do we have to defeat the anti-gun coalition, we have to counter the media's constant anti-gun drumbeat.
Gun control advocates hope that Washington State will soon have one of the strictest gun laws in the nation.
Case in point, fall 1997.
Here in the state of Washington, the front lines have been drawn in the deadly battle over gun control.
It seemed the perfect time and place to test their new strategy. Initially, everything appeared to be stacked in their favor.
It's an unlikely place for a street fight over gun control. Laid back Washington State. But in just a couple of weeks, people here will decide if the land of latte and lumber should also have one of the toughest gun control laws in the nation.
Have you folks signed for handgun safety?
Calling themselves the Safety First Coalition, proponents of Initiative 676 tried to camouflage gun control under a phony ballot title of handgun safety.
It's pretty simple. We require licenses for people to drive a car.
Right.
That's the least we can do for operating a handgun.
In truth, 676 was not about safety at all, and it was anything but simple. Initiative 676 was 13 complex pages of civil rights violations, including mandates that would have required massive intrusions on gun owners' privacy, prosecution for the unlicensed exercise of your right of self-protection, invasive enforcement, perhaps even door-to-door searches. Early polls indicated that uninformed voters supported the measure 2-to-1.
If there was a trigger lock on his father's gun.
In Seattle alone, women favored 676 overwhelmingly by 85 to 15%. 676 had the endorsement of the state's most influential newspaper, funding from Seattle's social elite,
an emergency room physician in Seattle who supports
support within the medical community, and the weighty intervention of handgun control and its figureheads. They had an emotional message, too.
The 5-year-old kid who shot himself in the abdomen.
Initiative 676 requires handgun owners to purchase a child safety trigger lock and take a safety class. Oh, sure, it's a little inconvenient, but what would you rather do? Buy a lock and attend a class, or buy a coffin and attend a funeral?
How do you argue against a measure that appeared to only promote child safety? Then, just 27 days out,
for a president who's fought for gun control and against the gun industry, it was an odd moment.
Please stand up.
676 supporters got a big boost when President Clinton made news by striking a trigger lock deal with a handful of the nation's gun manufacturers.
The White House
Against overwhelming odds, and with the stakes so high, the national media began predicting the beginning of the end for the National Rifle Association.
From NBC News,
now a full-blown political war.
If this measure wins in this gun-friendly state, it could spell trouble for the NRA elsewhere.
It's a shot that could be heard around the nation.
But something went wrong on the way to the funeral.
tonight's top story.
Well, take a look at the numbers here.
A whopping 71% of Washington voters rejected the gun control advocates. By any measure, it was an overwhelming victory. But it took a lot of hard work and resources.
No on 676? This is really not about safety. This is about no privacy, no safety, no self-defense.
You know, our critics will call this what they will. This really is about gun safety. It is not about taking people's guns away.
It would require trigger locks, handgun owners to get a license. There are tests.
The NRA recognized from the onset that Initiative 676 was not really about safety at all. Its purpose was to advance a hidden agenda.
Where there's no handgun in a house, there can be no child killed by a handgun.
We knew that once the voters learned about the details buried in the pages of fine print, support for the legislation would erode. The challenge was to unravel the disguise and make the truth known to the voters, and do it all in a few short weeks.
As the promoters of 676 do not point out, these things are not foolproof. It says, caution, do not install on a loaded gun. If you can't put a safety lock on a loaded gun, then what do you need the safety lock for?
The NRA, together with state and local groups, formed a coalition called Washington Citizens Against Regulatory Excess. We care. We knew that to beat the odds against Initiative 676, we were going to have to go in, get actively involved, open our checkbook, and plan to stay for the duration.
It took what National Public Radio called one of the best-run campaigns in American history. But we were able to defy our opponents by winning the votes of young and old, men and women, in every county in the state. How?
A lot of people are talking about this initiative being defeated by a lot of money, but your feeling is that there was some grassroots effort behind this, too.
That campaign, Dan, was probably as effective a grassroots campaign as we've seen in the state of Washington in 20 years.
Would you like an egg? Yes, thanks for coming today.
We reached out to our 80,000 NRA members in Washington state, our grassroots, and they rose to the occasion.
They're not going to have thousands of people on the phones before election. They're not going to have tens of thousands of people going to door like we are. But that's how we're going to win this campaign.
We held statewide Get Out the Vote seminars and rallies to enthusiastic, overflowing crowds.
Is everyone here opposed to 676? Well, we're here to let everyone know that defending a constitutionally guaranteed right, defending the right to defend yourself and your family, and protecting the privacy of 1 million or more Washington families is what our NRA family is all about.
This group, organizers say, represents a fraction of the 27,000 campaign workers who, like Gary Inman, insist the state's handgun initiative was always more about politics than safety.
You know, there's a lot of lies out there about how bad guns are and how bad people are that own guns and how bad the NRA is. That's not true.
Through direct mail and coordinated talk radio campaigns, we drove our message home.
No safety, no self-defense, no privacy. No on 676.
It seems like whenever you turn on the TV around here, or the radio for that matter, you can hear ads, especially...
And our paid advertising paralleled that message.
676 would require a license to own or possess a handgun, even if your spouse had a permit and you never use a handgun.
They say 676 is all about safety. I say it's all about your rights. Leave your pistol safely at home and your unlicensed spouse is breaking the law.
Why does it violate your privacy? Read the fine print. 676 lets government bureaucrats snoop through your personal medical records.
Fact, trigger locks cannot guarantee safety. Lock manufacturers warn using a trigger lock on a loaded gun may result in an accidental discharge. Fact, Initiative 676 is not about safety.
There are 31 of 39 county sheriffs opposed to this initiative. 31 of 39.
Perhaps most importantly, the truth about Initiative 676 brought our most powerful ally into the fight.
If there are any cops out there, come on up.
We had the overwhelming support of over 80% of the state's law enforcement community.
Over 8,000 police officers statewide are opposed to Initiative 676.
Deputy sheriffs, police officers, men, women, officers of color were absolutely opposed to Initiative 676.
It's an anti-gun, anti-citizen, anti-safety measure.
That's why thousands of law enforcement officers, responsible parents, and citizens are opposing 676.
Wednesday, November 5th, the National Rifle Association won a big one.
It was perhaps the hottest of the hot-button initiatives, 676. Well, stick a fork in it because it's done.
We're winning in every single county in Washington.
The victory in Washington state was sweet, but it was merely the first of many battles to come.
Are they going to try something like this again?
These people are less sad than they are angry tonight, and they say that this is not the last of their fight for gun safety.
We won't stop now.
So we haven't heard the end of this debate in Washington state or across the country since this initiative has attracted so much national attention.
16 states require the safe storage of guns, with owners liable for accidents. And in Massachusetts, officials are about to regulate guns, just like they do cars, toys, even bicycles.
The NRA is on notice as a result of this campaign that be it next year, be it 5 years from now.
Already, our adversaries are analyzing their defeat and redoubling their efforts in other states, perhaps your state.
We simply didn't have the money to make our voices heard over the $5 million that was spent by the NRA.
Though our opponents misrepresented much, they were correct when they predicted that the NRA would spend whatever it took to defend your Second Amendment rights.
We did, and I have no regrets. Imagine what it would cost if they attempt this election year to run similar initiatives all across the country. Our resources would be spread too thin, and that's what they're counting on. That's why I'm sending you this video. We need your help. We need to replenish our war chest to make sure that we have the resources to defend your right to keep and bear arms, no matter where you live. If we are to defeat those who believe that your rights are wrong, then you need to help us, and we need that help right now. For if we wait for the anti-gunners to launch their next major strike against our freedoms, it could be too late to raise all the money we need.
Your fight for freedom didn't begin or end at Valley Forge or Gettysburg or the trenches in World War I or with Dr. Martin Luther King. Your fight for freedom will go on for as long as you live.
Brent Bozell, chairman of a media watchdog group, recently wrote, "The NRA is like the Energizer Bunny. Despite having to battle the gun control advocates and the national media, the NRA manages to keep on going and winning and winning. Make no mistake, you are the energy that drives our winning campaigns. Only through the support of individuals like yourself, who understand and cherish our fundamental rights, will we be able to finance the battles that surely lie ahead."
I know the day will come when we'll see reductions.
We have simply had enough.
They will take this to every other state in the Union and try and disarm America.
And come they will, whether in the individual states, from the federal government, or even beyond our borders.
The campaign to strip you of your rights to keep and bear arms is relentless. We cannot rest on our victories, no matter how great. We cannot let our guard down, not even for a moment. Because once lost, the rights we enjoy today may never, ever be fully restored. That's why I make this pledge to you. As long as you continue to give us your support, and among other things that means writing a check, we will be ever vigilant and unyielding in protecting and defending your Second Amendment rights. By working together, you and I can control our destiny.
Please do your part to help us defeat those who want to take away your Second Amendment rights. Mail your check today to the NRA, Institute for Legislative Action, 11250 Waples Mill Road, Fairfax, Virginia, 22030. That's NRA, Institute for Legislative Action, 11250 Waples Mill Road, Fairfax, Virginia, 22030. Please make your check for $25, $35, $50, whatever you can afford. You can mail it in the enclosed pre-addressed envelope, or, if more convenient, you can call toll-free 1-800-392-8683. That's 1-800-392-8683. 8683. Major credit cards are welcome. Whatever you do, do it today.